Well, I've been hacked on Facebook,
God.
and so I have not been able to do what I was working on with my WhatsApp enablement with the bot that I'm creating.
Ugh.
Mm. So, so I don't it happened after I had um done this bot integration. So I don't know, maybe I put an API key or something that gave hackers access to my Facebook account, like
Mm,
the Facebook developer thing. That's the only thing I did.
mm.
My password is secure. I've even got 2FA for Facebook on my phone. So it still doesn't really make sense how they've been able to do that. And then of course Facebook, there's no like contact us for support. There's no
Mhm.
like chat. So anyway, I'm trying to get hold of Facebook and trying to get my account access back. So that's the end of my bot development story. Yours is much better, much more interesting. So let's just go through a little bit on the journey. You did a couple of all-nighters not too long ago, and now you're gonna be debuting something. You look pretty upbeat about it. So take us through the process, the journey.
Yeah, yeah, man. No. So, I just started seeing if I could basically code it from scratch. Tinker a little bit more from that angle. And I don't code, as you know. I mean, I've got a little HTML, CSS, JavaScript from years ago. I know what it is and I know what it does, but that's about it. I mean, I can make a website that would look terrible. That's about the edge of my computing chops. And I'd been studying a little bit of Python, but I probably got 10 hours into it. And then I was talking to somebody about something else, and they turned me on to this new code helper thing called Cursor, or Cursor. And what it is it's basically Microsoft Visual Studio IDE, code development program with ChatGPT built into it, so that you literally can just highlight your code and hit like Command K, up pops a chat box and say, add this, add embedding to my chatbots. And it just starts going through the code line by line by line by line, gives you the new code. You click yes or no, done deal. You run it, you test it, and so on. So it's right there. And literally, when I first started with it, I just said, I want to build a chatbot using LangChain, um, OpenAI's API, and Pinecone database. And just started. Bam! I had my draft in a minute. Right? It's really amazing. You don't need an auto code anymore. That's the bottom line. You just don't. Now, is it harder in many ways than a coder? Sure. There's stupid shit I didn't know. Like I didn't know how to set up an API key for Google search. That shit took me 3 hours. Because I just am not familiar with the platform. But guess what? 3 hours of hunting and pecking around Google's platform taught me a lot about the platform, and I actually know how to host a website now and do all kinds of other shit I didn't need to know to do, because it's forcing you to learn. That's the brilliance. Like people would say, well, you're not going to learn to code that way. Bullshit. It absolutely has taught me a ton, because even when it makes the changes, it tells you. That's the beauty. Like every time I ask it to change a mistake, I get a readout with its reasoning. It says, no, it's because, you can't use this class here and this and that, and you got to do this. And so you are learning. And then, of course, when you hit some of these brick walls, like the other one, Pinecone Database gave me fits in my first bot. 8 hours, Gav, an entire day on a Saturday gone to this thing. It literally almost had me defeated. But I realized I learned everything you could possibly imagine about vector databases and Pinecone. What I ended up finding out while I was head against the wall is because the Pinecone free database version is bullshit. It only hosts it on these servers in Southeast Asia or whatever. And for some reason, that doesn't jive well with what I was trying to do with my bot. That's why I was banging my head against the wall, because you just couldn't do it. Right. But whatever. I also learned that. Now I know that. So I switched to ChromaDB. Everything's fine. So I'm learning a ton, but it's literally gotten me to the point now where I was showing you my bot at the beginning. I mean, maybe I should just briefly show it on the podcast so people know that this is for real, right? Like here it is. I built this thing. It helped me build the graphics and everything. This bot can do, it has Google search for the latest It has embedding, which means that I can basically add data that I want, so that I can effectively kind of train, because it's got ChatGPT 4 on the back end, but I can effectively sort of train and, you know, slowly but surely get it to learn certain things because it has memory and it's recording my chats, or I can add data directly to it through the embeddings, the OpenAI API embeddings. I don't know. It didn't understand me properly there, but we did just have it earlier here. Like I had it to search for current trends, and it was looking into different games and analyzing the success of Liverpool and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that's the journey. I mean, that this is my second bot. I put the other one up on GitHub. That one's just a little more basic version, but it also has memory and so forth. Uh, and also got prompts embedded in there. So there's a content writing prompt that I have, one of my really big ones that's SEO optimized, writer, and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much ready to ship as it is.
Fantastic, really fantastic. A couple of some of the news coming out of AI stuff. It's torrential, but DALI 3, pretty excited about seeing what's happening there.
Yeah.
Some testers have said they think it's definitely better than Midjourney, which is quite a claim, but keen to see what happens.
Mhm.
And ChatGPT, I don't know what to call it, but it's like a vision tool. People are just uploading an image, a photo, a diagram, something, and it will convert that into a computer generated image. So some level of optical character recognition there. And not only that, but it can interpret the diagram. So it doesn't just paint you a nice looking diagram, but it actually understands the logic of a
Yep.
diagram and then puts out an assessment or a description of what the diagram is talking about. Pretty astonishing. Do you have some experience with those so far?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't been one of the lucky ones to get access to the visual um, feature yet. I tried, as I showed you earlier, I tried to draw a different front end for that. And I put the picture in and it got the basics like it's already been doing, but it didn't have the advanced stuff. I do have the sound on my phone. That's the other thing. You can talk to it now. So it's basically like, a new Siri. But there's also this thing that a lot of people haven't talked about yet, and that's the desktop code interpreter. And what that has done now is it allows ChatGPT to take control of your machine as if it were you. And that's a big game changer. People don't understand what that means, but it means stuff like it can check your email, build emails, and send emails out for you automated because it has access now. You couldn't do that with just ChatGPT. ChatGPT can't click on Google and log into your account, right? Even with code, yeah, you could probably set it up where it has access and it has your credentials and it runs it, but it's not the same. It can basically be a root user, so it can have access to everything. I'm setting this bot up that I wanted to have access to my Apple Health and everything, my next one. And it's going to be like the data bot, a true AI assistant. I want it to take all my data. I'm going to set it up so it can connect to my computer while I'm sitting here, automate and do tasks in the background for me while I'm sitting, but then also be learning about me constantly and giving me insights all day long. Here's what you did here. Here's what you did there. You've got a meeting later. You need to prep to talk to Gavs. I mean, the sky's the limit. It's really crazy. And then the final thing I would say news wise that's nuts is the Microsoft paper about their auto agent. I mean, I can't wait. I'm going to start working on that as soon as I get off this. I've been reading about it and I'm just ready to rock.
I only saw from Microsoft that they've added some AI assistants in across their software suite, but I don't know what you just mentioned. What does that one do?
So Microsoft's I guess AI research team has come up with this new basically I guess it's a code library, the virtual agents, and they call it auto agents, and they came up with a way so that with this platform or this software suite, you've already got the agents set up to be autonomous, and all you have to do is plug in what you want them to be. Basically,
Yeah.
give them the persona
hmm
and the role. And it's apparently very easy to work with. I haven't touched it yet. Now, you can do that with LangChain and, of course, Python, I'm sure, from scratch if you really had good chops and some of these other libraries that exist. But it still takes a lot, right? You got to kind of get in there and you got to really understand how to set them up and you got to set up the intercommunications. I guess this is all done. I haven't, um, again, I haven't messed with it not much yet, but I'm looking into it. But everybody's ranting and raving about it that it's like it's ready to go. Yeah, I think it's here. Power virtual agents. Build intelligent bots in minutes using generative AI and respond rapidly to customer employee needs at scales. I think this is it, unless this is another product of theirs. But yeah, it's a Microsoft thing. I think it's just a library though. But I don't know. Everybody's saying it's like it's just made all that so much easier. To create these sort of like teams of agents that can work on problems together. I was just telling my girl that like AI is here. Like this is the moment. It's not coming. Like it's here. Generative AI, I mean, or AGI or not, I don't care. That's inevitable at this point. But the world will not be recognizable business wise in 3 years. It won't be. If you're not in this stuff, you don't know how to leverage it. I'm sorry, but you just better know somebody who does so they can either help you or give you a job. Because I just don't see it. I don't see traditional companies lasting very long. Why? Why would you have 100 people when you can just make them? And they never give you any shit. They do exactly what they're told. Like, they don't have emotions. They don't cost anything. I mean, right? It's unbelievable. And people can't think that way because we overvalue ourselves and we overvalue our creativity. That's always the big one. Yeah, but we can come up with like bullshit. Not necessarily. I guarantee you ChatGPT is more creative than 80% of the population. Like it's incredibly creative.
Yeah, I was on a podcast, X Spaces panel this morning talking about governance, and my highlight was um, the author of Exponential Organizations. He's been saying for a while that organizations are too big, and you can do. We've covered that. You can do a lot with far fewer people, and his view was a couple of people, a technical person and a creative person, or like a business operational kind of person, and then a technical perspective person. Um, I do think that companies, organizations are going to get smaller. I
Hmm.
think we're going to end up with more organizations, and they're going to be smaller.
Yeah.
Um, and it might whittle down all the way to a lot more just one man bands. And those one man bands can have multiple agents, as you're describing. Um, I think looking out, so in the call today, we touched on the idea that being more decentralized as an organization is about sharing value, and like that might be revenue with more people that are contributing instead of just the few owners. And these
Hmm.
kind of pressures are going to help to balance that out, because if the individuals don't receive their what they see as their fair exchange of value, then they'll go off and find another smaller organization because there'll be a lot of them, or they'll just create their own organization.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's going to help equalize opportunity and compensation for contributions. Um, but it also speaks to the idea of meritocracy was a theme on the call. How do we validate? I think reputation is going to be very important. How do we record and transmit? If we think that we can do things um, and creatively, then how do we demonstrate that? How do we validate and prove that? Whereas someone like for myself, I actually at the weekend, because I was blocked out of my AI bot development, I went and did some AI content creation. So I chained together a few tools. I used ChatGPT to write a script. I copy pasted a bunch of content and said, made me a short a script out of this content, had to
Hmm.
work on the prompt for a few minutes, got that, copied it over to a platform, something like 11 something. is a text to speech AI agent, and I ended up with this MP3, and you can tweak the parameters of these different voices, and it sounds like a human voice. It really does. And you can adjust it, and this is the tone or the style of the voice I want. Took that, exported that. Then I went to Midjourney and created a batch of like 10 images based on simple prompts of the kind of the journey, the story the script is telling. ChatGPT gave me some descriptions for the images. They weren't great. I had to tweak it a little bit, but that's okay. Gave me the inspiration. And then I tried to make an AI jingle, like background music, but it didn't go very well. So I just took something from royalty-free music from YouTube. And then I needed to use a video editor. I added in the images, the voiceover speech, which is AI, that's reading the script that was produced by ChatGPT, and then the jingle, and then uploaded it. And it took me a while to go through the process, partly because the images on Midjourney took a long time to really get what I wanted, and I'm creative and I'm learning the stuff. But I could probably knock one of those out in like half an hour now that I
Yeah.
have the process down. And there, I missed one. It was another tool. I might not remember the name right now, but Runway. It takes the static images from Midjourney and it animates them as if they're 4-second videos.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that.
The quality is not fantastic, but hey, soon enough it will be. So my video is not just a bunch of static images, it's a moving movie. And I haven't had to do I'm not an animator. I didn't go to design school for 4 years and learn how to animate. But I have an animated video, and it took me a few hours, and I can probably get it done in half an hour next time. And it's pretty astonishing what we are going to be able to do. So, and there's another tool, can't think of the name, but I could put in the scripts and some content, and it will give me social posts and blog articles and email
Yeah.
website content. It's
Yeah.
just, it's almost to the point, it's just kind of ridiculous. But this is leverage, and this is the challenge that we have to face as well. So the point is, how do we demonstrate value, or how do we orient ourselves to being value creators and a productive participant in the emerging new economy, and to earn our keep and to be entertained and to feel like we're significant, and all of these questions. Thoughts on that? We're just kind of going for the ride right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a matter of being on the ride. That's the thing. Like what we were talking about before, I'm saying that like this is the moment here. It's not coming. It's here. This is it. This is happening right now. You're seeing AI transform the world. Because when everybody says, and the AI news, like it's a fire hose. What does that tell you guys? A fire hose means things are changing extremely rapidly. Innovation is happening day to day to day. We're getting leaps. We're not getting small iterations. We're getting leaps. Like every 2-3 days, we're getting leaps. Every couple months, we're getting orders of magnitude jumps. Like wait until Google's, AI next iteration comes out. It's supposedly, what is it, Gemini? It's supposedly 5 times better than ChatGPT. Out of the box, it's going to come with the image, the multimodal, the image, videos, audio, anything can go in, anything can come out, anything can be crossed up. You can go from video to pictures. You can go from pictures to audio. You can go in all the directions. It's going to be unbelievable. And they're saying it's 5 times more powerful than ChatGPT. I mean, what does that even mean? I don't know, but obviously it's going to be mind blowing. The stuff is just coming and coming and coming. And then next thing you know, you'll be talking GPT-5. My understanding is OpenAI looks to 10x with every release. So it'll be 10x what ChatGPT-4 was. There's this whole change that's going on now because they're realizing they're kind of coming to the end of like throw as much data as humanly possible at it to train the model. Like there's only so much data that you can get a hold of that's decent, right? And so the parameter race can only go so far, even though my understanding is Google trained Gemini on 4 trillion. What do they call it? I forget the term right now. 4 trillion, it's not bits, but I forget the term. Parameters, 4 trillion parameters of data, and ChatGPT 4 is supposed to be a little over a trillion, to put that in perspective. But again, that's getting to its edge. So now they're moving to this sparse thing or something where it's about the associations, and it creates just a greater complexity, and the quality of the data matters more, and you can get way more mileage out of it, and so on and so forth. But the train's out of the station. What you can do is leverage it, use it. Just you don't whatever. I'm telling you about how to get into it and become a coder with tools at your back, right? Putting on a robot suit and you transformed into a coder. That's still going to probably be a little much for some people, a little too tedious. They might not want to bang their head against the pine cone wall for 8 hours like I had to, but you don't need to, right? You don't need to. There's plenty of stuff. You mentioned the, the different tools you were using. You turned me on to one of the bot tools that was amazing. I used a couple that are great. I mean, one of the ones is valued at $4 billion. I couldn't character.ai has a $4 billion valuation already. And I wasn't that impressed with it, to be honest, but it's super easy to use. And people can just make a character overnight. I got into the beta version of Unreal Engine's latest avatar thing. It's called MetaHumans, and it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's humans in 4K. And you can just either take pictures of yourself, as my understanding, and like map yourself a full avatar of yourself. I mean, we saw that thing with Zuckerberg in the metaverse recently, that podcast. Like, it's here. So just go use it. All those wild ideas you've had, try them, build prototypes, right? Build a bunch of prototypes, throw them out at the world. But just, you have to become at least fluent. Like, speak the language at a minimum, know what a prompt is, know what LangChain is, know what auto agents are, right? You need to know this stuff, because I was just thinking the other day, about like, if you're going out there and you're applying for a new position now as an executive, if any company is not asking you if you're AI first out of the gate, they shouldn't be hiring you. Don't bring on another guy who doesn't know how to handle this shit. Like, if you're an executive, you should be educating the living hell out of yourself. You must know how to leverage this. It doesn't matter who you are either. CFO, you better know how to help automate your finances. COO, you better help it automate workflows. Marketing officer, you better know how to make it automate your content pipelines, right? Sales, it doesn't matter. Like, you must know how to leverage this stuff, because that's the phase we're already at. And anybody who's not doing it is like an order of magnitude behind their competitors. Straight up. I mean, the ease it takes now with just some of the apps that we've been using to make a chatbot that you can train on your company's data, and with a few little tweaks set up so that it can basically not only handle any customer inquiry and do it in a very human-friendly, human-sounding manner, but can also like be a lead generation machine and close sales for you. Like, that's mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. I don't know. I don't even know what else to say about it, except like I just can't stop myself. I'm just constant, like, trying to get as much in my head as I can.
Yeah, so let's maybe round up with, what do you see as your next steps? Like, where do you feel that you are in that journey, or what questions do you have that seem like the next things for you to figure out?
I'm just really figuring out how to, build these chat bots for just various use cases, right? Just like branching out. I had some ideas to make a content one. Great. Now I'd like to make one that's going to be more of a personal assistant. I want to see if I can get it to automate tasks for me, like using the computer, as I was saying, answering emails for me, maybe logging into my socials and seeing if I can get it to write responses to people. I don't know, just because I think automation's a good first step. And again, that'll help anybody, right? Maybe start there. But I'm really getting into the automation. I want to see what I can do. And I'm just trying to see how far I can push the chatbots. That's the next step for me. What about you? What are you doing now that you're banned?
So once I get back to my Facebook account, not that I use Facebook for Facebook, but I
No,
need it for the
everything
business
else.
WhatsApp stuff.
WhatsApp, Insta.
Um, then yeah, it's just so I'm populating the knowledge base with more content for this particular
Nice.
bot that I'm creating. And then I got to do testing, just verify that it works on WhatsApp, and then I can actually unveil it, roll it out. So pretty excited to do that. And I'm looking for, say, it's kind of a therapy coach kind of thing. So I'll be looking for doing outreach to potential collaborators,
Mm,
people who are, we discussed before, therapists not only need the value of what AI can deliver, but they're going to start getting out competed if they don't.
yep.
So, got to find the sweet spot and make an invitation to be able to collaborate with relevant people for the project, and see if we can launch it as some kind of a partner program. So yeah, I'm excited to share what it is, but that'll happen soon enough.